Welcome everybody. I'd like to introduce Forward Discussion. We're very happy to be here. We did have a discussion that was quite similar to this about a year ago, and while it was really nice to be online and see Alex Durand's curtains, but now that we're sort of doing it live, it's obviously great to be here and get everybody back together. We're talking about charter operations, the relationships between brokers and operators. We have one very eloquent broker who's going to make the case on the broker side, who will be well able to deal with three very experienced operators.
Oh, I don't get called eloquent often, thank you.
My pleasure. With Bernhard Fragner from GlobeAir, Julia Black from Hunter & Palmer, Alex Durand from Saxon, and you're going to introduce yourselves.
Fadi from Elit'Avia.
Okay, so I want to start with Alex. Are you able to provide the same level of service now that you're able to provide in 2019?
Broadly, yes. But I think we're entering a new phase of operation with business picking up. We haven't had the business traffic back yet, so we've gone from probably a 50-50 mix of business and leisure to 100% leisure for the last year, effectively. So the pressure's on the systems. I think we're seeing some cracks, but nominally, it looks and smells the same, but I think we're all anticipating if the momentum keeps coming, it's going to be tough on the whole supply chain. We had some issues with approvals post-Brexit as a UK operator, but they've been manageable, permits have been manageable, but I think when you look at supply chain in terms of MROs and spare supply, and when things don't go well, there's pressure on capacity with training, so while this is picking up, I think it's been masked.
I was in a meeting with a group of aircraft salespeople 2 days ago, and they were all pretty much agreed that they were looking forward to a recession. Would you go that far? That's what we need to sort of even things out.
No,
you're not looking forward to a recession?
We don't need any more bad.
Yeah. Also, when we were speaking the last time, I mean, you've been through this sort of high, low, high again. Have you gotten to the stage where you've kind of organised your operation to the extent that you're comfortable with and that you're not going to experience big changes now? You're in a more stable environment at the moment.
So we have changed. And I think the test is now, all the plans we had to restructure are now being live tested. And it seems to be working. We're making more controlled decision making. We're being a bit more assertive about what we can and can't be reasonably expected to achieve. It's just changing the relationships we develop with a lot of new entrants to the market. Yeah. So I think we're explaining it better at the start, and we're not reacting to events so much. Yeah. We're anticipating.
Yeah. So I think on this side of the panel, first three participants, we might have a bit of agreement here, because I think that Alex, your operation, your operation, we're talking about not terribly big operations and really dependent on brokers to do the marketing and sales for you to a certain extent. So there's a nice sort of symbiosis there. We're looking at Bernhard's side. How would you describe, are you doing more of a hybrid model where you have a jet card system as well, and so you're doing some marketing? Obviously your personal brand is very strong, it seems to be a big part of what you're doing. Could you describe your own relationship, your company's relationship with brokers?
I mean, regardless how high the demand is or how low the demand is, I think the brokers on the forefront, and they invest a lot of their resources to develop the market and educate the market. And we as GlobeAir as well, we have this hybrid model. And I think this is, I would say, one of the best models, because it's we support each other and developing together the market, even on association levels and so on and so forth, because they're various stakeholders. And it's not just the operator and the brokers, you need the FBOs as well, and so in the airports. So I think we need to get all the stakeholders together. And what I see, that the brokers are still doing a great job out there, because at the end of the day, you know, sometimes we struggle on various items like AOGs or, you know, today I heard we have in Ibiza a CTOT of 3 hours, and they need to bring the news. And obviously the broker, who has also a relation, is able, based on the experience they have, how to deal with those things. And it's certainly a huge added value.
Okay, fine. Fadi, I mean, it's pretty clear that your sort of level of operation, kind of dependence on brokers, is important for you. And I was wondering, is there a natural limit to consolidation in the industry, in that you need kind of personal approach, kind of a relationship with customers to be able to kind of give them the sort of customer support that they need? You get to a level above 50 aircraft, it's not possible to provide that before. So there's consolidation in a sense shouldn't be too much to worry about in this industry?
In my opinion, it's absolutely. I mean, the worry shouldn't be as big as we hear in some places at least. There's room for everyone. The consolidation is mainly targeting a certain part of the industry. You have those who are more inclined to go to the jet card or more inclined to do the bookings themselves.
Yeah.
Or they have, they don't want to have this. They don't have high requirements in terms of service level, in terms of everything that goes around the flight from A to B. What the operators or the boutique operators, put it like this, and the brokers are doing here is offering this extra. They're going the extra mile. When you have an end client who is using a broker service, for us, for the operators, the brokers are offering this cushioning.
Yeah.
They're giving this let's say buffer between the operator and the end client. They're providing the service. Just like the brokers have their preferred operators, the operators also have their preferred brokers. So in terms of consolidation going big, you're losing this personal touch, and you'll always find the clients who are really interested in this, but you're not gonna take over the entire market, because there will always be those clients who are looking for this personal touch and for this extra mile and extra effort that the broker and the operator are about.
I think you and I are painting this picture of a well-balanced system with each playing their role. Is this how you see it as well, Julia?
Could you say that again, please? I'm sorry, confused.
Fadi and I were kind of painting this picture of a well-balanced system where each kind of broker has his role, her role, operator has his role, kind of, so that the customer is getting kind of the full support from this value chain. Is this how you see things as well?
Well, it's lovely to hear so many people here actually appreciating the role of the broker, because I don't feel the same value or the same appreciation from every operator that we deal with, actually. And it's lovely to hear somebody like Bernhard here, who does operate a hybrid model, and I still feel that as a broker he appreciates what we do. And I think with many of the more independent operators, including those that are represented here today, we do feel valued. But in some of the larger groups now, I kind of feel like, if I'm going to be controversial, that the broker has kind of been forgotten slightly, and that we do feel like we are the bottom of the food chain with respect to protection of supply, of capacity. Yes. So obviously many of these consolidated operators, their sense is to protect their own card holders and fractional owners, etc., and then their own retail clients. And the broker as the wholesale client is now at the bottom of that food chain, but we're probably the people that introduce those ownership and card holders to them. And I would just hope that there is a little bit more remembrance and respect for the role of the broker in that arena.
But is it just a question of supply and demand, and that the operators know that there is such a great demand that whatever sort of conditions they're giving to brokers, they know the brokers still need them to provide those aircraft, and so in many cases they have the luxury of not being able to treat you with maybe the sort of respect and recognition that you guys deserve?
Well, that's right, and the demand is so high at the moment, and it's a great opportunity for us all to enjoy the new entrants to the market and the new charter customers and service them well. But the key there is the ability to service them well. We've got to have an aeroplane to do that with.
Yeah. Can I just say, I find that really interesting that you feel bottom of the pile, because traditionally the operator has always felt the bottom of the food.
You're always feeling this now as well. I think it's just
and it's interesting too. It's always been the brokers. I felt like the dominant partner in the relationship, and they had determined and they almost tended for operators. It's interesting that perception change. So what's changed in the industry to make that happen? Because that's the first time I've heard anyone say that.
I think it's because as a broker we have so little control. So we're kind of trying to control 100 things we have no control over, and we don't have asset control. We have a relationship with a customer that is really, really hard won, and it's won against lots of competition. So we really have to excel in terms of the way that we deliver for that end charter customer. But the market conditions, in many ways, don't enable us to please them every time. There's not the capacity to support AOGs. It's hard to get slots in airports, and sometimes to the customer, it's very hard to show now that the broker is adding value, and they think that they can go and buy a card or a share in an aeroplane, and the perception of that is that they're regaining a little bit of control.
And you don't think that is the case?
I don't think that's the case at all, because I look at these some of the jet card products and fractional products that are going on sale now, and they seem to be going on sale at much higher price, but with more and more restrictions, extended blackout periods, etc. I mean, why would you take an aeroplane share that you can't use over summer, or you can't use on holiday? Because surely that's what you're travelling for.
Yeah.
You know, the whole idea of business aviation is to offer flexibility to the charter clients, and as a charter broker, I'm always going to be actively marketing against that. I don't feel that those products offer flexibility to end users anymore. They might have done at one point in time, but I don't think they do now.
Bernhard, does your jet card offer flexibility?
Yeah, I mean, I have the fortune right now that I'm in this business for a few years now, and you know, I've seen cycles, good times and bad times, and I think in a partnership, and obviously there's a strong partnership relation between operator and the broker. I think we should go through the good times together and the bad times, and there might be currently high demand period, but I have no doubt there will be a low demand period probably quite soon, given the economic conditions and the environment we are. So, and this is always worth to remember, because at the end of the day we're in a people business, I would say very much so, and then the people will drive the relations.
Sure, but what about the point about the value of jet cards themselves?
I mean, we do have brokers, they have jet cards from us as well, right? If they want to keep some loyalty and develop a customer, that's fine. I mean, I do understand in a period where high demand is, what's the point of a jet card? Because I mean,
because availability
anyways, and I think some operators, what I have seen out there, they went too far. You know, we really, when we look at those, we see ourselves as an ad hoc charter demand. This is what we are. And if you sell out too many jet cards, then I think you harm yourself, because this is a commitment in many ways, you know, price-wise, availability-wise, and so on and so forth. It's great. You may generate some upfront cash flow. Question is it needed, yes or no? But I think you harm yourself if you're really so aggressive on that. And as you say, then you introduce blackout periods. I mean, you know, exactly those customers will then remember exactly in low demand periods, listen, you sold me something crappy here, you know, that's it.
But that's lovely to hear, because in many ways I know that I can still ask for an aircraft from Bernhard and they'll nearly always have some availability for me. That's not the case with every operator anymore.
Exactly, because when we're talking about hybrid, it is actually hybrid. It's not hybrid in the sense that we deal with brokers when we need to, but we try to get everybody.
Bernhard still respects the brokers, and you know, that's good.
If I may, I think one of the reasons for the perception that you have of the broker being at the bottom of the food chain is the current availability. And Paul was mentioning earlier that aircraft brokers are wishing that a recession would come just so they can have inventory. And that's the same problem that we're seeing on the charter market as well. I mean, the aircraft are all being used up. There isn't as many new aircraft coming in, which is affecting the charter demand, charter market. Portion of these aircraft is going into jet cards, into consolidation, into programs, fractional ownership. So it's making it harder. You know, you have to settle to sometimes for choices that you may not be your first choices, your top choices. I do believe it's temporary. It's not going to be forever. I mean, inventory will change one way or another on the market, and this will also change the way that the charter market is, and the relationship between operator and broker, those that should, you know, when swayed one way or another, will eventually straighten up, or then, you know, so I do believe it's temporary, and you know, it's not something that's going to be a long-term.
I mean, the secret is quite simple. Stay humble and don't get arrogant in those periods, right? This is quite.
The thing is, ultimately, somehow or other, our industry has become commoditized, you know, and many people have forgotten to look at the value of what we do. There's nothing I love more as a broker than being able to pick an aircraft and operator for a client and pushing it, because I think it's the right aircraft for the client, or the right crew, or the right configuration, or the right colour of carpet, or the right level of experience in a certain region. It irks me if my recommendation is purely based on what's available and at which price.
But that's very interesting, because if it is being commoditized, then you've got to start asking, what is the role of a broker, and couldn't this be done by software?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The minute I'm replaced by an algorithm...
Sorry, I didn't want to just say,
it's time to hang up my hat and go home, I think.
And then, so are we going to find this consensus? No, this one-touch via software, booking a flight, that's not going to become a reality.
No, I think that's the language, and it is to a level, but you've got to remember, it's an experience. Every single flight is a one-off experience. So
and it's a very personal experience.
So the more you commoditise it, the more it's homogenised, you're taking that away. Yeah. And it's an averaging out of what is essentially, it should be a very valuable experience, and you're saving time on the quality of it. And that's down to the individual understanding the client's expectations. Whereas what's happened with, I think, a lot of industry consolidation is industry telling clients what they want, but they didn't ask them. And we know from even having the same airframe or the same inheritance, every single one is different. So who's managing that experience? You know, and the systems don't fully do that.
But as well, aren't brokers contributing to this to a certain extent as well? Because the approach of many is just to get a list of quotes and present the lowest one and say, well, I hammered them down and I got them this quote, and that's what I did, Julia.
I think that's about trying to put a price on the experience, and that is not
and does that happen? Are you able to talk people out of going for the lowest option?
Absolutely.
That happens.
Absolutely. There are still people that do care about more than price. They care about the relevance and the personalisation of the experience to them. Yeah. And I think, as Alex said, you know, chartering an aircraft, it's something that you do for high days and holidays and special things. Not everything is just about getting from A to B as quickly as possible. And obviously with COVID, nobody's travelled. Now everybody wants to travel. There's a big pickup in leisure demand. So there's people who are now really in it for the experience. Yeah. Let's make that experience count. Let's give our customers a memorable trip with an operator that we know and trust, where we've been able to say to them, yes, they want a chocolate-coated hobnob, or they want Marmite on cream crackers, or the dog only eats organic chicken, or whatever it might be. You know, you can't do that through an interface purely, and it's been tried and failed by many tech brokers before us. You know, these are conversations we were having 15 years ago,
I know.
And we've come full circle.
Yes, it didn't work, but they haven't given up. Listen, how have you just kind of experienced the past kind of year, 2 years? Have you grown dramatically? Has your company changed, or have your customers completely changed? I guess it's been an interesting period, Julia.
Who's that to?
For you.
To me. Has it changed in the last 2 years? The essence of Hunt & Palmer hasn't changed what it's about.
Okay.
No way at all. We're still very much about appreciating why the customer wants to travel and working out the best way to provide that service to them. And I've always said that what we do is an incredibly abstract thing. You know, we build relationships with operating partners and third-party suppliers, and somewhere in the world an aeroplane moves, flown by a captain I'll never meet, probably flying a principal passenger I'll never meet, and it's all arranged through intermediaries and so on and so forth. So whatever you can do to get closer to that. COVID hasn't changed that, and you know, whilst COVID may have brought about the Zoom culture, and that may have changed some of our clients' habits in terms of meetings, etc. Actually, everything is now coming back to face-to-face, having my brokers together in a room to actually collaborate with each other and share experiences and share operational insight is absolutely invaluable. And it all comes back to the value of those very human interactions.
We just need more aircraft.
We need many more aircraft, please, and thank you.
Sorry?
Many more.
Okay. We don't have manufacturers on the panel, Bernhard. Fleet optimization technology to make sure, I know you want to keep your pilots in the air at all times. What can you do to provide more availability?
I think it's not only about aircraft, you know, it's literally in every segment. You know? I mean, we're lacking thousands of ATC controllers. That's why we cannot fly that much as we want. Yeah? So we may miss security people, we may miss people on the ground handling. So I think the whole ecosystem is just lacking capacity. It's not just about the aircraft. Certainly we can optimize here and there some things. Particularly, I think we can optimize the airspace. I'm strongly convinced that once we remove the political borders, national borders in the air, then we might have some improvement on on flight times.
It's also a 20-year story, which
I know, but it's fair, and then we see the impact. Actually, now we have the proof. We had the periods where we flew during the pandemic, and now it's back to normal. And now you see immediately impact, which goes down to carbon offsetting and so on and so forth. Yeah. So I think it's great that there's a demand out there. As there's for sure a period after that hype. But I think we should be, calm down and work on optimizing everywhere. And it's not just about aircraft or pilots; it's everywhere. Yeah. And I do understand that people want to now, go out and travel for business and leisure. But we have to deal with the capacity we have. And I think it's important that we as well communicate it properly. We cannot. Raise expectations and give promises, and then we cannot fulfill and deliver. Because at the end of the day, when the customer has a bad experience, and the experience is different what we have promised, we all got hit, and people talking badly then about our service, and it's not worth it. And then, we work so hard to build the brand and the reputations of this industry, and then we shoot ourselves in our knees because we cannot deliver the service we promised.
Sure. Have you made the decision on the renewal of your fleet?
We're not far away, but by the end of the year we will have a clearer picture,
Phenoms, Honda Jets, Cessna?
You named all of them,
Which is your favorite?
They're all great products. It's just we look at the overall package, which is important there.
I suspect his favourite will be the one who gives them the biggest discount.
Well, so she's a business lady.
Hopefully they're all listening.
I hired her as a consultant.
I'm there.
Not a bad idea at all. Alex, business as usual. You figured out how to run this boutique operation.
That's so easy. No, I think we need to, what we're talking about, there is a control, it's supply and demand, it's pricing. We have all got used to a very competitive landscape. Everything we talk about is value added, it's quality of experience and product in a highly regulated industry with high overhead. So we need to put, it can be price control, we put the prices up rather than just expand capacity, which is broken everywhere.
But that's what's happening, right?
Yeah, I know, but to manage it so it doesn't break and we don't let so many people down is you price it up effectively, and we're generally not used to that because we're always dealing with hard negotiations.
So are you saying that the approach is more to overpromise rather than just say keep the demand cut it down?
I think it's just being really honest in every way, which includes there's a cost to what we do, and if you do that, you will reduce some of the demand. It's not a comfortable subject, so we want as much as possible, but that's right. The whole system is very fragile. The possibility of a nice commercial upturn this summer could cause absolute chaos.
It seems that the industry just doesn't have the capacity to deal with what's out there now. The infrastructure is not built for the demand that exists right now.
It's creaking. It's limited.
Fine, good problem to have.
Sorry.
It's a good problem to have.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Easy to be a sales guy now.
And we're complaining.
Have to sell anything.
We were complaining a couple of years ago when the pandemic started. So
you need to convince people to sell their aircraft.
Absolutely. Cannot convince more people to fly because we have too many. We just need more aircraft to fly.
Okay, very good. So, I think unless somebody else has something to add, I'd like to thank you all for your interventions today. Thank you to UAS for putting this whole thing together. Thank you to Liz and Alison for helping me out and telling me what questions to ask. I hope that you will all enjoy the rest of the show. We're going to have an amazing cocktail on EBAA booth M67 in just like a couple of hours. See you all there and see you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you very much.